What if Abraham, the father of faith, had a secret family, a lineage erased from history, but destined to return in the end times? Hidden in the shadows of the Bible, 6 sons born to a woman named Keturah carry a story so profound it could rewrite our understanding of God's plan. These forgotten descendants, sent away from the Promised Land, may hold a key to prophecies in Revelation. Are you ready to uncover a mystery that's been buried for millennia? The Bible is full of stories that feel like they belong to another world, tales of patriarchs, promises, and divine plans. But tucked away in the book of Genesis is a detail so subtle it is easy to miss, yet so powerful it could change how you see the entire biblical narrative. It's the story of Abraham's other family, a lineage born not to Sarah, the celebrated matriarch, but to Keturah, a woman who slips quietly into the text and out of history. Her 6 sons, Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shuah, are names most people have never heard. They're the forgotten sons of Abraham, sent away from the Promised Land, their stories lost to time. But what if they're not lost to God? What if these sons, dismissed by history, are waiting to re-emerge in the final chapters of the Bible's prophetic story? This is their tale, a journey of mystery, exile, and a redemption that spans centuries. Keturah's quiet entrance. Imagine Abraham, the father of nations, standing at the twilight of his life. Sarah, his beloved wife and the mother of Isaac, has passed away. The promise of a chosen nation rests on Isaac's shoulders. But then, almost like a whisper, Genesis 25:1 introduces a new figure. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. She's not given the spotlight like Sarah, no divine promises herald her arrival. Yet from her womb come 6 sons, each a direct descendant of the patriarch whose faith shaped the world. Their names, Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shuah, carry the weight of tribes, cultures, and destinies. But unlike Isaac, they're not heirs to the covenant. They're the other sons, the ones sent away, their stories fading into the sands of the East. Who was Keturah? Some ancient rabbis, like Rashi, believed she might be Hagar, the Egyptian mother of Ishmael, returning under a new name, her identity purified. If true, her sons would carry an Afro-Semitic heritage, their dark skin reflecting the Cushite roots of their mother. Whether Keturah was Hagar or another, her sons were undeniably Abraham's, their blood tied to the patriarch but not to the messianic promise. They were given gifts, provision, and a direction, east, away from Isaac, away from the Promised Land. Genesis 25:6 is clear. Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but unto the sons of the concubines Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. This separation wasn't rejection, it was a different destiny. But what kind of destiny? And why does the Bible seem to let them vanish, the sons who built nations? Each of Keturah's sons carried a name that hinted at the peoples they would father. Zimran, meaning musician or song, might have led tribes rich in oral traditions, their voices echoing through the deserts of Arabia or the eastern coast of Africa. Jokshan, whose name means snare or hunter, gave rise to 2 significant descendants, Sheba and Dedan. These names resonate through history. Sheba, known for its caravans of gold and spices, and Dedan, a desert people tied to trade routes. Medan, meaning strife or judgment, is a shadow in the records, his people perhaps scattering early, their story lost to time. Midian, also tied to strife, is the most prominent. His descendants, the Midianites, playing a complex role in Israel's history. Ishbak, meaning to release or let go, suggests a lineage that drifted far, blending into distant cultures. And Shuah, meaning wealth, points to a people of commerce, possibly linked to Bildad the Shuhite in the book of Job, a man from a land of merchants. These weren't just individuals, they were the seeds of nations. Their Afro-Semitic features, born from Keturah's presumed Cushite roots, marked them as a bridge between Abraham's Semitic lineage and the African world. They built kingdoms, traded spices, and shaped the ancient Middle East. But unlike Isaac's line, they carried no covenant, no promise of a chosen land. They were sent east, their stories fading from the biblical spotlight. Yet their absence feels deliberate. like a pause in a song waiting for the melody to return. The Midianites, allies and enemies. What if the sons of Abraham became Israel's greatest rivals? The Midianites, descendants of Midian, are the most visible of Keturah's legacy. Their story is a tangled dance of friendship and conflict. When Moses fled Egypt, it was to Midian he ran, finding refuge among them. He married Zipporah, a Midianite woman, and her father, Jethro, a priest, became his guide. This connection feels like a bridge between Abraham's two families, a moment of unity. But the harmony didn't last. By Numbers 25, the Midianites allied with Moab to seduce Israel into sin at Baal Peor, one of the darkest moments in the wilderness. Later in Judges 6, they oppressed Israel, raiding their lands until Gideon rose to defeat them. How could Abraham's own blood turn against the nation of promise? The answer lies in the distance, geographic and spiritual. Sent away from the covenant, the Midianites forged their own path. They became a powerful people, controlling trade routes, their culture vibrant but separate. Their story shows the complexity of God's plan. Even those outside the promise play a role. They weren't cursed. They were given gifts, a destiny. But without the covenant, their path diverged, sometimes into opposition. Yet their presence in Scripture isn't random. They're a reminder that God's story is bigger than one nation, one lineage. The echoes of Sheba and Dedan. What if the Queen of Sheba was more than a legend? Jokshan's sons, Sheba and Dedan, carry a legacy that ripples through the Bible. Sheba is famous for its wealth, its caravans laden with gold, incense, and spices. The Queen of Sheba, EE's visit to Solomon in 1 Kings 10, is a moment of awe. Her gifts and questions testing the king as wisdom. Dedan, less prominent, appears in prophetic judgments, tied to desert tribes and trade. These peoples born from Keturah weren't just merchants, they were players in the biblical world, interacting with Israel through alliances and conflicts. Ezekiel 25:13 and Jeremiah 25:23 mention Dedan among nations facing judgment, yet their Abrahamic roots tie them to a deeper story. Sheba and Dedan weren't part of the covenant, but they weren't forgotten. Their wealth and influence made them significant, their caravans crossing the ancient world, connecting empires. They carried Abraham's blood, his legacy, even if they stood outside the promise. Their story hints at a truth. God's plan includes those on the margins, those sent away. But could their role be even bigger? Could they return in a way no one expects? The prophetic return. What if the forgotten sons are destined to come back? The Old Testament prophets drop a stunning clue. In Isaiah 66, a vision of Zion's future glory unfolds. The multitude of camels shall cover thee, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah. All they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the praises of the Lord. Midian, Ephah, a son of Midian, and Sheba, descendants of Keturah, reappear not as enemies or traders, but as worshippers. They bring gold and incense, symbols of reverence and prayer, to honor the God of Israel. Psalm 72:10 echoes this. The kings of Sheba and Seba shall offer gifts. This isn't war or trade, it's worship, a turning toward the divine. This is no small detail. These peoples sent away in Genesis return in prophecy, their role transformed. Sheba, once a kingdom of riddles and riches, now brings praise. Midian, once an oppressor, carries offerings. Ephah, a name nearly lost, joins the procession. It's as if God is saying, I never forgot them. The sons of Keturah, excluded from the covenant, are reserved for a moment of redemption, a place in the restoration of all things. Their return isn't about merit, it's about God's grace, a plan so vast it includes those history ignored. The mystery in Revelation. What if Keturah's sons are part of the end times? The book of Revelation paints a cosmic picture of redemption, with 144,000 sealed from the tribes of Israel in Revelation 7. At first, this seems to exclude anyone outside Isaac's line. But then the text shifts. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb. Revelation 7:9. This multitude, drawn from every corner of the earth, opens a door. Could Keturah's descendants, scattered across the Middle East, their blood flowing through ancient kingdoms. Be among them. These peoples formed tribes, traded with empires, and clashed with Israel. Over centuries, their descendants spread, their identities blending into the nations. Could some have heard the gospel, their Abrahamic roots touched by faith? Jesus himself said in John 10:16, "And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice. And there shall be one fold and one shepherd." While not directly about Keturah's sons, this verse echoes a truth. God's redemption reaches beyond the expected. The forgotten sons, sent east with gifts, may stand among the redeemed, their robes washed in the blood of the Lamb. This isn't doctrine, it's mystery. The Bible doesn't spell it out, but it leaves the door open. The descendants of Keturah, absent from the covenant, are never erased from God's plan. Their return in prophecy suggests a purpose, a role in the final act. They're not the chosen, but they're not forsaken. Their story is a thread in the tapestry of redemption, hidden but never lost. The theological silence. Why have we ignored this story? For centuries, preachers and scholars have overlooked Keturah's sons. Sermons focus on Isaac, Jacob, Moses, David, heroes of the covenant. Keturah's lineage is a footnote, dismissed as irrelevant. But is this silence biblical, or is it our own? Have we missed something vital by ignoring these forgotten peoples? The Bible's silence isn't rejection, it's suspense, a holding back for the right moment. God hides to reveal, buries to resurrect. The sons of Keturah aren't cursed, they're given gifts, a destiny, a place in the story. This silence challenges us. We focus on the chosen, but God sees the overlooked. The Midianites, Sheba, Dedan, they're not just historical curiosities. They're proof that God's plan is bigger than our narratives. They remind us that redemption isn't limited to one people, one promise. The forgotten have a place, their story waiting to unfold. A call to remember. What does it mean to be part of God's plan? Keturah's sons teach us that no one is truly forgotten. They were sent away, their names fading from history, but God reserved them for a purpose. Their return in prophecy, bearing gold, incense, and praise, shows a God who includes the outcast, who redeems the overlooked. This isn't just a story about ancient tribes, it's about us. It's about the times we feel unseen, unworthy, outside the promise. The ever-living one sees us, just as it saw Zimran, Jokshan, Midian, and the rest. No one is beyond redemption. Imagine the descendants of Keturah, scattered across deserts and trade routes. Their lives a quiet echo of Abraham's faith. They built kingdoms, faced wars, and carried their father's blood into the world. Now, in the visions of Isaiah and Revelation, they return not as enemies but as worshippers, their gifts laid before the throne. This is the beauty of God's story. It's never just about the chosen. It's about the forgotten, the exiled, the ones who seem to vanish but are never truly gone. What if you're part of this story? What if your life, your struggles, your unseen moments are seen by a God who never forgets? The sons of Keturah remind us that redemption is vast, that grace reaches the edges of the earth. Their story isn't over. It's waiting to be fulfilled. Will you see yourself in their journey? Will you trust that even the forgotten have a place in the divine plan? Comment below. Do you believe Keturah's sons are part of God's final redemption? Write, "I see the forgotten," if this story moves you. Share this video to spread their story, and subscribe to keep exploring the mysteries hidden in plain sight. The sons of Keturah are waiting. Are you ready to hear their call?